Cell phone operator Vodacom is planning to bring a financial technology app to South Africa. It comes after its fintech app M-Pesa failed to attract enough users. Vodacom says the Alipay app will offer a marketplace for goods and services tailored to the South African consumer. To discuss this further, we're joined by tech expert Toby Shapshak. Very good morning to you, Toby. Tell us about this new app.
Indeed. Well, we don't really know much about it, except that Vodacom and Alipay have announced that they're going to do that. It's very significant, Jane. Alipay is the biggest payment mechanism in China, along with WeChat or We Wallets. WePay is what they call it. So that is rampant all over China. Alipay has built a system around itself based primarily on the Alibaba marketplace. Alibaba is a kind of mashup between eBay, Amazon, and it's very, very effective and huge in China. It lets anybody pay for anything. There's a service called AliExpress where you can buy just about anything and have it shipped to South Africa. It's a pretty big deal. It's a really big play by Vodacom because it will open up not only payments for Vodacom customers around Africa, remember where Vodacom works in sub-Saharan Africa only, but also access to all of the merchants and other people on Alipay all over the world, mostly China. So it's a big deal. It's a potentially massive deal, but still the app that will make it work still has to be finalized and developed, so they say.
Okay.
You know, the big cell phone news that broke late last night, Jane, was that the government has gazetted policies that would allow cellular networks to put cell phone stands, cell phone masts in private property, be it a home, be it a business, and not necessarily pay for that. But it's been gazetted. It's going to be hugely controversial. Communications Minister Stella Ndabeni-Abrams, who's just returned from a shameful leave of absence for going to a lunch party with the disgraced former MP, and now she has tabled this, or her department has gazetted this very controversial ruling because they say the reason is to roll out 5G faster so that people can get towers up. Well, I mean, the simple thing is if only the government followed its own procedures and it did it as effectively as the procedures themselves speculate, they wouldn't have to force this through. It's kind of like the land debate. The government has its own procedures. It just hasn't followed them. So all of a sudden we have expropriation without compensation in the land sense, and now all of a sudden we have something similar in terms of cell phone masts.
Okay, and Toby,
so
briefly, sorry, just the Microsoft wants to teach you new skills. Tell us about that.
Yeah, this is an interesting thing. So Microsoft, as you know, owns LinkedIn, this large network of people looking for jobs and sharing jobs. But of course, Microsoft also owns another very important piece of property called GitHub. GitHub is where people write code, programming code for computers or cell phones or anything, and they put it all there. It's like a vast repository of it. So what Microsoft is doing is using those two resources to upskill, they say, 25 million people around the world. They had the local launch. There's a wonderful organization called Africa Tikkun that's involved with it. And they're trying to use LinkedIn and the ease of LinkedIn and all the other services to upskill people or reskill people. So if you lost your job in COVID or you fear that your job skills aren't good enough, this is where you can get yourself more skills. And I think it's a very clever thing that Microsoft's done. They've taken their two very useful different services, GitHub and LinkedIn, and they've linked them together to teach people different skills. There's going to be a massive need of skills and retraining, certainly because of changes in technology, but almost definitely because of this COVID crisis. So well done, Microsoft.
And your comments on my broadband article on 5G and the minister's request for comment?
Yeah, that's what we've just been discussing, this very strange gazetted policy. I mean, it's just ripe for dispute. I mean, people are going to dispute it. It's going to have issues. It's quite likely that it won't be finalized. I can't see it possibly being finalized without certain very, very significant challenges from rates associations, homeowners. There is a government policy. There is a way to set up cell phone towers. It's just painfully slow. And I love this about the government. They're legislating where you can put up your cell phone towers, but they still haven't given the networks the license, the spectrum they need. Jane, the last time the government...
Must be a nice tender in there somewhere, I suspect.
Yeah, through ICASA gave gave the cell phone networks. The last time they gave was over 10 years ago. That was for 3G. We've had the 4G revolution and the 5G revolutions coming, and our government still hasn't given the cell phone companies the spectrum they need to operate the service. It's like being told, go build a house, but you don't have the land yet. Just build the whole house, but the land isn't available for you yet. And that's really what the networks have had to do. So, the inconsistency from the various communication departments, I know it's historical, and I know we've had morons like Faith Matumbi running telecommunications, but this is the issue we have at the moment. The government is getting ready to build base stations to distribute 5G signals, but it hasn't given the cell phone operators the actual spectrum, the land, if you will.
The mind boggles, Toby. Let's leave it there. Thank you.